We begin this hour with an attempted military coup in Turkey. It's left more than 160 people dead, but the government is apparently intact. Authorities say more than 2,800 military officers are now in custody and more arrests are being made. Their revolt was cut short by forces loyal to President Recep Tayyip Erdogan with the help of ordinary citizens. Mr. Erdogan was on holiday when the violence erupted, but he was soon back in Istanbul declaring that the coup had been thwarted. Authorities in Greece say they're now considering asylum requests from 8 Turkish men who arrived a short time ago by a helicopter. Turkey's foreign minister responded with a tweet demanding the immediate surrender of what he calls heinous soldiers who escaped to Greece. Turkey's prime minister says the nation showed great resilience throughout the incident. He spoke about the fate of the military officers that were detained.
This
Çete
parallel
mensupları
gang members
artık Yüce Türk
are
adaletinin
now in the hands
elindedir.
of the
Müstahak
esteemed
oldukları
Turkish
her
justice,
türlü
and
cezayı
they will be
karşılığı
punished in
göreceklerdir.
every way they deserve.
And Turkish authorities are preventing a movement to and from Incirlik Air Base in Adana. The US consulate in Turkey says power to the air base has been cut, and the consulate is warning American citizens to avoid the area until normal operations have been restored. Well, back with us now is our Erin McLaughlin and journalist Andrew Finkel. Great to have you both with us. Andrew, first to you, 161 people dead. The president is accusing those responsible of treason. What do we know at this stage about the coup leaders?
Well, there seems to have been a senior general involved, but what we don't think has happened is that it consists of the entire chain of command of the Turkish army. Had this coup been able to succeed, then it would have really required all of the armed forces acting in unison. 300 is a large number of those people being arrested, but it represents a fraction of the Turkish military. So although they managed to get tanks out onto the street, they managed to buzz major cities with subsonic jets, houses shook, buildings were shot up. It wasn't really the large display of force by the Turkish military that would have been necessary for this coup to have succeeded.
Andrew, do you know at this stage what their demands were, what they wanted?
Well, in the first instance, they imposed a curfew on the nation. They wanted everyone to stay home. And then they were clearly going to do what other military coups had done in Turkey, which was basically to arrest the political class, arrest the political leadership, and impose a government of their own. Now, it wasn't simply the ruling party, the Justice and Development Party, which objected to this. We had statements from all the major opposition parties saying, yes, we want change in Turkey, but we don't want it at the barrel of a gun. We want it democratically.
How prevalent is this line of thinking right across Turkey right now? How unstable is it? How many people? Is it just a few hundred? How many people back this sort of a coup?
Well, I think the government has a great deal of supporters. Of course, those supporters came out and literally defended the government against tanks and heavy weaponry. So clearly the government has a bedrock of support. But on the other hand, some people accuse the government of having conducted a sort of slow coup of its own, of seizing the nodes of power in Turkey over the last few years, dismantling the independence of the press, getting control over the judiciary, and indeed, possibly the last straw as far as these officers was concerned, was getting control over the military, over the army. So there's a lot of people opposed to the government of Mr. Erdogan, but again, as I said, most of those people want to see that happen through a democratic procedure rather than through a military one.
Yeah, there is no doubt that Erdogan has been trying to crack down on the media, deporting journalists, and trying to carry out a more authoritarian rule. But what were the main concerns of the general leading this coup against the government?
Well, there was a statement was read out. At the height of the coup, there were a speaker and the military took over the state television channels. They sat down an announcer, and she read over and over and over again the justification for the coup and what they were what it was all about. And the gist of the matter was that the government had essentially exhausted its democratic legitimacy. It had betrayed the secular roots of the Turkish Republic. It had become corrupt. And it basically accused the political class of having betrayed the people.
We know, of course, the president was out of the country when this coup started to unfold. He communicated with my colleagues in CNN Turk via a FaceTime phone call. Is it possible, do you think, we will see this situation continue to unravel?
Well, in fact, he was on holiday inside of Turkey when the coup happened. There were all sorts of rumors that he was fleeing abroad, but instead he actually came to Istanbul, probably assured that the situation would be put under control. Now, Mr. Erdogan has a very clear political agenda. He doesn't like the parliamentary system. He wants an executive presidency, and he wants a government and a cabinet and a parliament which will give this to him on a plate, make the constitutional changes which will allow this to happen. So now that this coup has happened, he's much more likely to be able to push forward with this very authoritarian, many would say, agenda. So he, although the putschists the coup makers may have had in their mind to try and limit the powers of Mr. Erdogan, possibly at the end of the day they will have handed him far more increased powers on a plate.